Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here. And welcome to the biggest Doctor Who show on the planet, Doctor Who Chat, where we've got this safe space, us lot, where we can talk about anything Doctor Who and get it all off our chests. So while you're watching this or after you're watching this, actually I'm going to premiere this so you can comment and talk about what you want to talk about. And maybe in a future video I can bring up your points as well. Listen. The BBC have a huge decision to make on the future of Doctor Who, and their options are these. Stick with Chibnall, and if they stick with Chibnall next year, they have to bring back every major Doctor Who classic monster. We want the Daleks back. We want the Cybermen back. We want them all back, and we definitely want the Master back. The problem is with this guy, can he pull these classic monsters, these icons of Doctor Who, off? Can he do it? This is the problem. I'm now really concerned because it seems to me if you give him a realistic premise, he's brilliant, like he was in Broadchurch. But when he's been challenged to write any Doctor Who episode, even when he wasn't running the show himself, he stumbles. That's the reality. That's the truth. If it was up to me, I'd shake him by the hand, pay him every respect for what he's achieved in the industry, and move him on. Now, whether or not Jodie Whittaker stays or not, if she wants to leave with him, she wants to leave. Now, we've heard the rumours that she's going to leave with him at the end of next year. I think it's ridiculous if that's the case because it's quite clear for anyone what's going on. Now, we know that this season has been the way it is because Chibnall and the BBC agree to steep this show in reality and take away the imagination you need to write Doctor Who. Now, last night's episode was a lot better than anything we've had, and I said that in last night's review. It all fell by the wayside by the frog. The reveal of the frog, no Cybermen, no Dalek, but a frog who wasn't really bad, just wanted some company, and the memes, the trolling that's going on from all Doctor Who fans about that frog. Well, you can understand it. That reveal of the frog has made Doctor Who into a bad joke now. A bad joke. There's no getting away with it. And the reveal of the frog sums up Chibnall's half-assed attempt to do Doctor Who. That confirms the other video I did. Doctor Who Season 11 is paint by numbers TV. It is. That frog was for the kids. That is for the kids. It's not for Doctor Who fans. It's not for SJWs. That's for the kids. And for me, it just doesn't work. It's just embarrassing. I think if you're a kid, you're going to go, oh my God, it's a frog. But talking like Grace, having the actor who plays Grace doing the voice, that's even worse. But what this sums up and proves something else, what frauds they are on season 11 of Doctor Who. The trailer, the promo for this episode tried to make us think we would see the Doctor and her friends facing a beast of a monster, something so scary, so terrible. It takes you away. It takes you away. It takes you away. Are you joking me? And at the end of the day, we get the big evil genius is a frog. And please don't leave me. I want to be with you, Doctor. It was ridiculous. And as I said last night, Jodie Whittaker's performance. Imagine being poor Jodie Whittaker, right? You open your script. Right? I'm sorry. Every time I see someone taking the piss about this, it's hilarious for me. I spat my tea out a lot of time. But imagine it, right? You open your script, you're Jodie Whittaker. You've got your SJW hat on. Yeah, I'm a woman. I'm proving everyone wrong. The Doctor talks to a frog, who is actually the threat element of this episode. Imagine Jodie's face. She either cracked up laughing when she was on her own. Of course, in interviews, she's going to go, oh, the nuance of the frog, wanting to be with someone, and it was so important and so relevant, and the representation of representing a frog is so important. But when she's down the pub with her mates, smoking in about 60 B&H and drinking a few pints, she's going to go, what the fuck is this Chibnall geezer up to? Because Jodie, if you watch this video, which you won't, I feel your pain. And, if you want to talk about it in the strictest of confidence, that's absolutely fine. because it was a fine episode. Not the greatest episode of Doctor Who, one of the better ones of this season, as I said last night, not saying much, but still, I was kind of thinking, yeah, it's okay. But then they do the reveal of the frog, and they burn everything they did in this episode. Eric the Viking was crap. The young blind girl was crap because they didn't pick a blind girl who could actually act. And I mean, basically, this is so funny, isn't it, with this virtue signalling, because they had the girl on one of their talk shows, one of their magazine shows. Was it a morning show? I don't know. And she's blind and she's going to be on Doctor Who, and this is a first. It's like, if you just let us watch her on the show rather than telling us, ooh, there's going to be a blind person in Doctor Who. It's when you have to shout representation through the rooftop, it means you're not genuine about your representation. I develop stuff for TV here in Cyprus. We represent, but we don't do it. Now, I was told off by a Doctor Who fan I've got a lot of respect for, and I won't mention his name, because I quote tweeted him, agreeing with what he said, and said, well, they have to tick the... Because he was basically saying what I said on my review, that they should get rid of Mandip Gill and the guy who plays Ryan, right? And just keep, like, Graham and the Doctor together. And I said that. I said, yeah, but they're not going to do that because they want to tick those boxes. And he goes, they're not boxes, they're people. Representation matters. They just need to develop the characters, mate. That's what he said to me. So he did himself there, really, because I replied, that's the whole point. I'm not talking against representation. I'm saying these creatives these days are putting representation before creativity and entertainment. That's my point. If you just throw at me representation matters, you lost the argument. Because I'm a Greek Cypriot, as I said to this lad, and I don't shout through the rooftops or moan about representation, because cultures like mine are not the ones. The ones with the loudest voices get represented, and we all know what cultures and kind of people they are. We know who the loudest are, and I don't need to mention them on here. And this is now part of the Doctor Who problem. They've made Doctor Who a test case for representation, but they forgot the creativity. So let's just say, right, you wanted a female Doctor, you wanted representation, but why? Why on God's green earth, well, let's say Superman's green earth, as I don't even believe in God, right? Superman's my God, as you can see. But why would you do away with the classic monsters? It does not make sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Look, you can defend it by saying, representation matters, man, I'm cool. But at the end of the day, that's nothing to do. You don't take away representation by taking away the classic monsters. The reality is here, these SJWs are trying to strip away what Doctor Who is, right? And that guy, which I mentioned in one of my videos a couple of weeks ago, who said, ooh, the people who are upset because the Doctor's not arrogant anymore, I'm glad the Doctor's the way she is, because now these people who think the Doctor's arrogant are now made to look stupid. Are we? Are we really? The Doctor has always been arrogant. Always been arrogant. And that's a good arrogance, right? It's like Sherlock Holmes and the Benny Cumberbatch version. Arrogant, but in a good way. Dr. Gregory House from the show House, arrogant. A good arrogant. But you've tried to make this Doctor perfect, with no flaws whatsoever. And this awful David Tennant impression she's doing, eating the soil, so cringy. And this sonic screwdriver where she doesn't know anything. She is the most useless Doctor ever. If without oh my God, I forgot to say this in my review. I do love my Sonic. Yes, thanks for reminding us that you've got the Sonic. I'm dreading when she puts that rainbow scarf on. I really am. And it's all to do, look at me. I'm wearing a scarf. Tom Baker wore a scarf. He's a relevant, iconic Doctor. I'm a relevant and iconic Doctor now. Love me, love me, love me. But it's got a rainbow, which is kind of the insignia of the LBGT community. So I'm so cool. I'm virtual signaling constantly. And plus, I'm wearing the same thing that the classic popular Doctor wore. Do you know what I mean? It makes me mad because these people treat us like idiots. Not just Doctor Who fans, but I'm talking to the LBGT community now. They don't care about you. They're just using you to make themselves be relevant. When are you going to understand? If they care about you, why is it half the characters that they do in your name are crap, and they're stereotypes, right? Why is that? Because they have no respect for you. They have no respect for women. All they're doing, they're trying to be political. That's it. They don't give two hoots about you. So we can understand together and agree together that Doctor Who Season 11 is a failure. It is a failure. It does not work as a form of entertainment. And last night's reveal of the frog absolutely proves that. So where next for Doctor Who? Well, it doesn't matter what we say. It's up to the BBC. They have two options here. Sell it. Sell it to Netflix. Sell it to Amazon. Sell it to someone who's going to put Doctor Who fans in charge of it. Doctor Who works the best when people who love the show work on it. Chibnall claims to be a fan. He's a liar. Anyone who loves Doctor Who would never have done this. Anyone who loves Doctor Who wouldn't have insisted on casting a female, and not just a female, his best mate, and the wrong female for the job. Anyone who loves Doctor Who wouldn't have written this Doctor like this. So, at the end of the day, he's not a Doctor Who fan. Moffat, I believe, was a fan. The way he wrote the Doctors worked. Yes, there were issues within his season, but you could tell he had 100% love for the character. His problem was his ego and arrogance trying to kind of cement his Doctor Who legacy. But as a fan, you could, by his work on the show, you could tell he was a fan. Russell T Davies, no one can tell me he wasn't a fan, and what he did was sensational. We need fans running this show. These are not Doctor Who fans. We've got a bunch of people with faces of Jodie Whittaker on Twitter saying they're Doctor Who fans. What? Since the season 11 premiere? No. This ends now. Your experiment of making Doctor Who an SJW test case has failed. Don't throw ratings in my face. Yes, you're getting just under 6 million an episode. You got 8 million, right? Then you got 7 million. Not bad. But now it's gone down to just under 6, right? That's solid. That's okay. But this is not what you wanted, BBC. You wanted about 7, 8 million an episode to make a point. Put your ratings next to Bodyguard. They're nothing. Your test case has failed. You can't sell the merchandise. Nobody's pre-ordering the season 11 box set. Well, apart from me. But if you look at the amount of kind of pre-orders they're getting, they're not there. The merchandise for the new monsters and villains and the 13th Doctor doll, the sales are not. If you compare them for Matt Smith stuff or David Tennant stuff or even Peter Capaldi stuff, he wasn't the most popular of Doctor, to be honest, but people loved Capaldi, the man. And that's why he kind of worked in the role, even though creatively there were issues. This experiment has not worked. But it's no good coming at me with ratings, because ratings are not the most important thing here. But even if you do look at the ratings, right, they're not magnificent. They're solid, but they're not magnificent. Doctor Who shouldn't have. But maybe, maybe Doctor Who cannot be a popular mainstream show anymore that breaks ratings records. Yes, it did well in the premiere, we know. But since then, it's been downhill. Maybe nobody apart from Russell T Davies will ever do that again, which will make Doctor Who be in the mainstream and popular and loved and make it kind of in the realm of Star Wars where people are talking about it on that level. Maybe it can't be done. But I do feel fans all the way through should be running and working on this show. We've seen it on Big Finish. Guess who runs Big Finish? Nicholas Pegg, a Doctor Who fan. Everyone who works on that is Doctor Who fans. And when these previous Doctors and companions come on board, it's a friendly environment because everyone wants to do their best for the fans, for Doctor Who, so they don't embarrass it and they entertain and, compel the fans. Now, not every Big Finish episode is brilliant, but because their heart's in the right place. You don't get too angry about it. You move on to the next one. But the problem is, for example, the people working on season 11, their hearts are not in the right place. Jodie Whittaker's heart is not in the right place. She's a self-confessed feminist, right? She's on Doctor Who to prove a point. She couldn't give a shit about Doctor Who. Nor could Chibnall. And I love Mandip Gill, but she couldn't give a shit about Doctor Who either. I don't know about the lad who plays Ryan. I don't know about Bradley Walsh. Bradley Walsh, again, is mates with Chris Chibnall. They worked on Law and Order together. That's why he's there. Now, I know, creators work with people they feel comfortable with, but this guy takes the piss. He just brings all his mates on board. And they're certainly not Doctor Who fans, But I can tell you what, in Russell T Davies' era, most of the people working on that show were Doctor Who fans. It worked, it was proven in Doctor Who Confidential, and slowly, when he left, everything was taken down. No Torchwood, no Sarah Jane, regrettably, because Liz died. But would that have continued anyway? Moffat would have put a kibosh on it anyway. It's been dying slowly since Russell left. We do not want Doctor Who to be a test case, for SJW politics, right? That's not what I want. You want to represent the LGBT community and different cultures, do it. But do it the right way. Russell did it without getting on a mountain and shouting it from the rooftops, and it worked. And you could see people were being represented, and there was no issue. This isn't Doctor Who because you don't have Doctor Who's best interests at heart. Us, the fans, have. But we're not being listened to. We're being labelled as misogynists, homophobics, transphobics, racists, anything to try and label us as the enemy of the people. But we're not. The real enemies here are the SJWs who are taking iconic properties and destroying them and talking representation matters. Representation matters. It does, but not more than the entertainment. Not more than the peace, and that's the problem with SJWs. And this is where we are now. And there's no bigger SJW than Chris Chibnall. I'm sorry, Chris, you are a talented man. I'd love to shake you by the hand, but you are wrong for Doctor Who and you must leave. But you're not going to leave. You're going to do another season. I assume that you said you wouldn't come back unless you could do just 6 episodes. Obviously, 10 episodes was too much for you. Fine. I don't mind 6 episodes. Bodyguard was about 6-8 episodes. It didn't ruin that for me. That's fine. 6 episodes is fine. 6 episodes isn't the issue. I like shorter seasons because I think you can fit more quality into them. But 10 episodes is a short season compared to what we got with Doctor Who when Russell was in charge, 13 episodes. And still you struggled, Chris. You struggled to give us quality. And for me, if you're struggling, that means you've proved, Chris, you don't have the imagination to write and run Doctor Who. So my advice to the BBC is either sell it to another company, cancel it, or give us the Doctor Who that we deserve. I know you don't like us. I know you think we're scum, but we're not. All we are people who love something and want it to be treated with respect and the right way. Right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Doctor Who Chat. I'll be back talking about various things later on. See you later. And don't forget, next week is the season finale. And I can't even remember the title right. So when I do my review next week, don't expect to see the title with my review. You're going to look for it. It's going to be Doctor Who season finale review because I'm fed up of these bloody titles I can't even remember or pronounce. Have a lovely day.